What's up, gangsters? That's right. I'm sure some of you were hoping otherwise, but I am in fact back. It is January the 10th, 2021, and it's been a hot minute since I was on here. I think something like 2 months, and my life has been chaos during that time because, as I mentioned before I went off the air, I have been in the middle of renovating my house for quite a while now, and about 2 months ago was when I had to pack up my workshop, move everything out of it, and take a break while the renovation happened. So, as you can see, things have changed. Welcome to the newly remodeled and restyled headquarters of Rube Goldberg Enterprises out here at El Rancho Patterson. Yeah, whatever. It's not nearly that cool, but it's fun to say it because I have been working so hard at this. To be clear, I haven't been personally doing the work, but I have really good contractors, and I've been in the middle of it, as you can expect I would be, because I'm sort of detail oriented, and it's been both exhilarating, terrifying, and super stressful. So, but I think it's all come out pretty good, and at some point in the not too distant future, hopefully, because that'll mean that I'm all done, I will do a complete sort of walk around and tool tour of this thing now that I've got it reorganized. So anyway, not sure if this is the best view or if I'll continue to use this view or whatever, but it is nice to have more room finally. I hate to complain because I know a lot of guys model in basically a closet, but I was pretty cramped and I could never move very far away from the camera, and now I can come all the way back over here. So I have a little bit more freedom to kind of make this thing look the way that I want it to and do it the way I want it to, and got to adjust my lights here. Anyway, so with all of that, try to get in the right light. I don't really know what's going to work here. Let me see. Wait. I need like, what do they call them? A gaffer. I need somebody to adjust my lighting for me. There we go. That's not too bad. Anyway, how about some minutes of random? I'm not even going to start the promised 10 because, yeah, I have not been doing much work. I actually got back to the bench and started doing some real work again about a week ago, but didn't get nearly as much done as I wanted to. What I really have is some packages. So it might be 10, might be 20. We'll see. Let's take a look. Okay, here we go. So the first thing that I wanted to get back to when I got back to the bench was the Hasegawa/Edward P40 that I've been working on. That project has a deadline that's long since passed, but fortunately, the guy I'm doing it for is super cool and understanding, and he's given me some slack. But the next thing that I needed to get to was decals. Every cockpit has information placards and tags and things, and I feel like that's a really important layer of detail, so that's what I've been doing. And you can see kind of what's been going on here. This is a mixture of decals. I can see that I'm gonna, this whole scheme is new now, so I have to readjust my lighting here to work. All right, anyway, and plus I'm working at night. This is really unusual for me to be doing one of these things after dark, but today was a big football day. I just didn't get it done before the sun went down, and if I didn't do it today, it was gonna be another week. So anyway, there you can see those little placards just look super cool. I'm not even going to begin to claim that they're accurate because I'm sure they're not, but they look the part. And this is one of those things where I will gladly take a little bit of creative license to make things look busier and more interesting, because pretty sure that nobody is going to be looking at these nearly as close as I am, and so I'm happy with the results, and I get those by just doing a mishmash of these wonderful Annis decals. Tom is just making a lot of really cool stuff. This is one of the sheets I was working off of, but I've got a whole bunch of them. He just has a lot of really cool ones that can, that'll help you accomplish just about anything. You can see that they are not actual writing. They just kind of look like writing. They are just tiny little blocks of black and white, and they work. I was even able to use them on this itty bitty 3D printed throttle quadrant that I think is going to end up being really cool when it's done. So there's those, and then I'm also using the AirScale stuff. Peter Castle, if you guys don't know who he is a brilliant model maker, and his placard decal sets are really fantastic. I just kind of feel like they're sort of Mustang centric, but a lot of these were sort of standard, and again, as long as they look the part, then who cares? And I don't really care about scale. You can see these are 32nd scale, but these are at least ostensibly 48th scale. Again, don't care as long as they look the part. The only one that I used from the kit decal sheet, and I honestly could not find for the life of me where it was actually supposed to go, but there is a placard right there on a P40, and that seemed like a pretty good spot for it. So there's that. The other thing, well, the thing that's next, when I get done with the decals probably, is to deal with the instrument panel. After the last time I worked on this and I was kind of looking at the photographs, I just decided that I probably was not going to be completely satisfied with this Edward. Wow, this is sloppy camera work. This cord is in the way. It's kind of cool because I've got it zip tied to the arm of my camera thing, which is great because I don't ever have to unplug it for charging or whatever. But yeah, now it's obviously in the way. So anyhow, this is the Edward look thing, and it looks pretty decent. I mean, it's not terrible, but the white is just a little bit blue. And even though they've done a pretty good job of giving you both printed detail and molded detail, so it's not just two-dimensional looking like a regular photo etch thing, I just was not super satisfied with the crispness. I knew that the Yahoo panel would be better, and just for frame of reference, this is the molded panel from Hasegawa, and this is really very good. I mean, I actually like it a lot. And with decals and paint, there's no doubt that you could make a really spiffy looking instrument panel with the molded part. But there's plenty of times where I've combined these with photo etch to get something that I felt like was a compromise. I mean, it's really hard to find a perfect instrument panel solution, because the thing that gives you the best printing is not necessarily the thing that gives you the best definition. But Yahoo comes the closest for my money, and if I can get my fingers on it, I'll show you. All right, there is the Yahoo. Definitely not easy to hang on to for me. Anyway, there is the Yahoo panel, and you can see they've put some kind of clear stuff in there for the gauge faces. It's perfectly flat, and look at how crisp that printing is. Look at the definition of that. I mean, is that just not wonderful? I mean, I don't know how it could possibly get any better than that. It's just so cool. So now, unfortunately, while the printing on the lower portion of the panel is equally crisp, it's also totally flat, like photo etch generally is. So I don't like that. So what am I going to do? Well, it's easy. I'm going to keep the lower portion, all of this down here, because I think that looks fine, and I don't think I can really get any better with the kit part. No matter how good I paint it, it's not going to be as crisp. So I'm going to just grind this thing flat and glue this one. Oh, I cannot pick this thing up. I always trim my fingernails before I do these because, you don't want to be that guy, but sometimes I wish I had them. Anyway, that's what's going to happen right there. I'm going to just grind that sucker flat, and then I'm going to glue the Yahoo panel on there, and that's basically the look I'm going to get. And I think that's going to be basically the best overall compromise. I think it'll be cool. So anyway, that's what's going on with the P40. And I'm pretty stoked about how it's going. I still have a ways to go yet before I finish this cockpit, because now the next layer is going to be all the mechanical detail, all of those cables, hoses, wires, etc. But let's get to the packages, all right? First package I'm going to open, because this one I have been promising that I would open. This is from Patrick Perales. You guys know him. He is the proprietor of MBK USA and a super good dude. And Patrick's had a tough time lately. He's lost his mother. She was a sweet lady, apparently. And all of my condolences go out to Patrick and his family during what I'm sure is a difficult time. But Patrick has been after me to open this box and look at this part, because he bought a 3D printer, and he bought the Elegoo Mars 2, which is a good printer. It's part of the, what we now call the 2K generation of printers. It is an LCD masking printer, just like the Frozen Shuffles, Frozen Sonic, Sonic Mini, Anycubic Photon. They're all the same type of printer. So they all pretty much do the same thing, and I'm reasonably impressed with this part. I think it's good. I think it's as good as I've seen from anybody else that has printed this thing. And I probably, I don't know, 6 or 8 people that I know of at this point have printed this file, and they've all come out nice. The only one that was just beyond ordinary was the one that's actually in here, which is the one that came out of a Form 3, which is like a $3,500 machine that is it's just an order of magnitude different. It's a galvanometer driven machine. I'm not going to get into the details of why, but you can see. And this one has had just a little bit of sanding to smooth out some of the build artifacts, because no matter how good they are, no part is going to be completely free of layer lines or curvature lines, from the pixels in the XY direction. And you can see it's a little bit difficult without this being primed, but you can see some layer lines in there, but really not bad. And this is a $230 machine, so tough to beat. Now, in competition with him, all right, right up the road, his good friend John Geigel, who is also my buddy, and he also bought a new printer. He bought a Saturn, and the Saturn is also I think it's a 4K machine, but it has a larger screen, so the effective resolution is not the same as what we would consider a true 4K machine. So what I mean is that the screen size on these things, think about a cell phone screen being a certain size. So you got a certain number of pixels in there. So if you use that same overall size, but you double the number of pixels, your resolution is effectively twice as good. But if you use a larger screen, well, your pixels are bigger, and so even though you have more of them, you're not going to get the same. You're not going to get the same resolution. So, on like the new Frozen Sonic Mini, that's a true 4K machine with the same size display as the older now, as of 6 months, as in 6 months ago, 2K machines. You can get the pixels down. They're down around 0.35 microns, or 35 microns. Sorry, and that is super small, super tiny. Whereas this machine, it's more like 40, which is closer to the 47 microns that is common with a 2K machine with the small display, which is what this is off of. So I think I'm getting all these numbers right, but still, even though this is a machine that is really designed to do bigger stuff, because the cool thing about the Saturn is that its build volume is quite a bit larger, and so you can do like 1/6 scale figures, that type of thing, and you can see there some of the build lines or XY artifacts, whichever they are. But again, this is really not a bad print. I mean, the material's really nice. You can see how thin and translucent it is. So it did a good job with that. And he sent me the thing built at 2 different layer heights. So this is built at 0.05 millimeters. This is built at 0.01 millimeters. So you would expect to see a slightly coarser print on the one with the thicker layers, and that is in fact what you see. You can see the lines there. Okay, they're just a little bit easier to see than they are on this one. And that's just one of the things with 3D printers. It's a trade-off. Obviously, if your layers are thinner, there's going to be more of them, and the thing is going to take longer to print, but you'll get better results. So where's the point of diminishing returns? This one effectively takes 5 times longer to print this one than it does to print this one. Is that worth it to you? Well, you just kind of have to decide what your priority is. Is it surface finish or is it speed? But you can see that there is a distinct difference there. So anyhow, those are cool, and I appreciate those guys who printed them to check out that file. I'm happy that my file has been printing well all over the world, and that it doesn't have any weirdness in it. All right, this is a cool package. This is from Anthony Goodman at Goodman Models. You guys have heard of him. He's been on several podcasts as a guest lately. He does a podcast up in Canada, and I am super embarrassed because at the moment I can't remember the name of their podcast. The podcast field is getting pretty crowded. We've got the On the Bench guys, we've got the Scale Model Mojo guys, we've now got Darren Goodman and his gang are doing Scale Model Geeks. Scott Gentry and TJ Howler and Doug. I'm sorry, I don't remember your last name. I'm just rambling now to kill time while I unpack. Anyway, I was actually a guest with Scott and Doug and TJ right before Christmas. That was a lot of fun, and their podcast is really good. Anyway, Anthony was on theirs as well, and these are, he has a small company called Goodman Models, and he does some really innovative stuff. But one of the things that's been really popular are these sanding blocks that he makes, and I finally got my hands on some of them, and I'm pretty stoked about that because you guys know I'm a total tool whore, and I don't believe you can ever have too many sanding instruments because, there's so many different sanding situations that we get into. And the thing that's cool about these, you can already see, is that it's a really good quality abrasive that is glued to a piece of clear plexiglass. Lexan acrylic, to just really confuse you people who think acrylic is just paint. So you get a rigid and very flat surface, and we all know that there's times when that's exactly what you need from a sanding instrument. You know, it's rare, I think, for me anyway, that I'm going to use something that's this coarse. But you know, when you got to remove a lot of material, like let's say you were trying to finish a pouring block off of a resin part, you need to hog that material off there pretty fast, and a nice flat surface comes in really handy for that. You know, it's really too coarse for this with this little fragile 3D printed part, but you know, it'll make the bottom of that seat flat in a big hurry. And when you've got the little nubs from the printing supports, you know, that's good. The bottom of that part obviously doesn't have to be perfectly flat because ain't nobody ever gonna see it, but you know, if you needed it to be, these Goodman sanding blocks are a very nice tool for that, and I am happy to add them to my collection of sanding gizmos, and I really appreciate Anthony for sending them to me. All right, last thing, because now this is now, let's see, yeah, 18 minutes of random. But this last one is super cool, and I'm only going to touch on it briefly because I am going to do a complete review video of it. This is something that John Geigel has been going on about. He's gotten in this a bunch of these tools. There's different ones from David Union. David Union is a company in Taiwan that's gotten into this model making space with these rotary tools. And this thing, I'll be honest, I've been skeptical of it because you know, I'm a Proxon guy. Everybody knows that. People think that I collect a commission from Proxon. I don't. I just really like their stuff. It's worked really well for me, and I'm not afraid to talk about things that give me good results. But I've been wanting to try this David Union thing, and I'm going to get into a complete review of it, but I wanted to show it to you guys. If I can figure out how to get this box open, it's really nice packaging. It's super high end, and you can see this thing is small. I mean, this thing is dinky. Like, let me just hold on. Let me reach over here and grab my Proxon rotary tool, and this is my always awesome and dependable EF50 Micromot, which has been now superseded by the EF60 Micromote, I guess. Anyway, you can see that not only is this one filthy, but it's like, you know, 40% bigger than this one from David Union. But the David Union one has a 3-jaw keyless chuck attachment with it. So that's the number one thing. It's really interesting. I am really looking forward to working it out because I confess, already had it out of this nice box, and it is a much more heavy and solid feeling tool than I expected it to be. So anyway, that's going to be neat, and in a week or two, whenever I get back to doing another video, I am going to do a full video review of it. So there's that. That's 20 minutes of random. Time to go. Bye.